Yo! Video games. What up, dudes, and welcome back to the Yo Video Games podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all generous patrons who kept us going for over 500 episodes. I was about to say 100. I'm like, wow, we crossed that line a long time ago.
We could just start again, you know? We just say we're on episode 1 again. We're just restarting. Reboot. We could do it. But yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogamespodcast. Dude of the week is Floyd M. Thank you, Floyd. Appreciate you. Been around for a while. We'll just we'll do like a reboot and
we're Hollywood now.
Topics. Yeah, well, I mean, we're super Hollywood. I will wear nothing but deep open V's.
There you go.
I will always have a light sheen of like sweat and glitter. I once worked with a DP that like just always sort of seemed to be like a little damp.
A little damp.
Like he was and also this is something, this is more true about producers that I have worked with / met, but like a lot of producers on roids and like are just like holding on to being 25 forever type thing. But yeah, just like deep V's, but then we'll like wear a scarf in Los Angeles. Like, it's never cold enough to need a scarf in Los Angeles.
Ever.
Like, it's like, but you're in a deep V t-shirt, but also a scarf. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. But yeah, this one guy is just a little bit like
you know, that kind of makes me think too, because like recently I was at like a bar in Hollywood. Not really Hollywood, but near Hollywood, near where they used to film a lot of stuff.
Some would say to the west of Hollywood.
No, I wish.
I
could have got my anus bleached. But
like an asshole waxing and bleaching.
What do you think? What do you think is the most? This is not really game related. We'll get there, I swear. What do you think is the most film accurate depiction of living in like Hollywood / LA? What felt the most? What feels like the most authentic? This is actually what it's like. Part of me wants to say Seven Psychopaths a little bit, but I was thinking, which one?
New Girl,
which
is a sitcom.
I don't know if I've seen that. I know about it, but
they filmed it at the bar that was underneath my apartment in Koreatown.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it felt right. Yeah, no, I'm not really sure. Like, because a lot of the time it's heavily romanticized.
Yeah,
there's really beautiful parts of LA, right?
And it's weird because like how much the Academy fucking loves like jerking off to themselves, like La La Land or whatever comes out and it's just like, oh, that's gonna win. Why? Because it's a musical about themselves.
La La Land is actually fairly accurate for being a musical. Like you run into people, everybody's trying to get into the industry. Like if you're in the industry and living in LA, one of the worst things, and this is not true all the time, but like one of the worst aspects of it is everybody you meet is your best friend in the whole world until you can't do something for them, and then you'll never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And everyone's super nice until they're not.
Right.
Yeah. And
I was just thinking because like
everybody makes excuses for like giant assholes too. That's another
thing I think about. Well, like I think I was on the plane. You know, when I was on the plane to Japan, I was like, I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I didn't like it as much. I think it's my least favorite Tarantino, and it's his favorite movie of his now.
Well, I mean, it's his most indulgent, but it does have
it
some
is
really
so
amazing
indulgent
moments.
But I mean, as someone who grew up in and around LA, and you know, as the Valley as they call it. You know, it was kind of like interesting to see how much was like, yeah, this is a thing, but this is also like, man, this is a rose tinted, you know, look back at, like in a way, like somewhat, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird things where I don't know if anyone actually really knows what it's actually like to try to like live and vibe and
wow.
You know, struggle.
When they talk about LA in movies, usually they're talking about the West Side.
Yeah.
Even when they're talking about Hollywood, they're talking about the West Side. And the West Side is one, not it's not technically LA. It's like Santa Monica and Venice and
then the in between, like the West LA as
yeah,
whatever. But
there's
it's like,
West LA and Mid City and Culver City, and then you got like Koreatown and downtown MacArthur Park, and then you have East LA and like Little Token. Like if I can impress about Google Los Angeles and then zoom in and look at how actual big, like the Valley is bigger than most cities in the United States.
yeah,
Los Angeles is like dozens of city. When they talk about LA, we're talking about LA County. There's 12 million people, and it is wall to wall buildings for most of it. It is just you can drive for 3 hours in one direction and still be in city.
yep,
It's insane. I mean, it's hard to explain that. Like there's so many cultures and vibes within LA that it is hard to like. Most of the time when people complain about LA, they're complaining about like industry transplants. They're not complaining about locals because they don't actually see local culture.
they've never seen it.
Yeah, and like the amount of times when I was living in Koreatown that I'd run into people and they'd be like, "Whoa, you're from here?" Yes. What? Like, yes, people are born in Los Angeles. What the fuck? But and I mean, like that happened dozens of times. Or like I'd get into an Uber ride and like someone would be like, "So where are you from?" And like I'd be like, "Here." And they'd be like, "Whoa." And when I moved here, and everybody only moved there 6 months ago. Anybody that's been there for like more than a few years is like they consider themselves purely local, and so they don't even ask that question anymore.
Right? Yeah.
It's very funny. So if you ever get asked about where you're from, typically it's like somebody who's been there for 6 months and they're still trying to meet friends. I don't know. It is a weird city because it is technically like dozens of cities smashed into one.
Yeah. And because it's so big, there's a lot of game developers out here, and surprise, surprise, they're on the west side.
Yeah.
They're in Santa Monica. A lot of them.
Beach.
Silicon Beach.
That's
There's a lot
literally what they call it.
in and near Santa Monica, and then Insomniac is not. Insomniac is in Burbank, which is a little bit of quite a ways well, it's traffic wise,
I mean,
quite
it's
a
like
ways
10
away.
miles, but it's like
2 hours
an
of
hour.
traffic.
Yeah, an hour on a good day you can get across LA, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. So there is there's technically a lot of talent, or I almost want to say there was a lot of talent, because I mean, Microsoft shut down their big studio they built up in Santa Monica for Perfect Dark, for the cancellation of that. And yeah, going forward here, I realize I mean, we're still in 25, but like part of me is kind of sitting here thinking like, I think 2026 is going to be it's actually going to be sort of a quieter year. I mean, there's going to be GTA 6 and it's going to suck up all the air in the room, of course, but I actually
early 26 there's a bunch of stuff coming, but it does make me feel weird, like
I feel like that's just like the trickle out area, or that's like the spillover, that couldn't meet the holiday deadline. But you know how COVID kind of screwed up the scheduling, so a lot of games got pushed to 23, 24, whatever. I think 2026 is where we're actually going to see the fallout of firing so many tens of thousands of people, and so many projects are canceled. So there's just going to be a sort of, at least in as far as like, major game publishing, sphere, there's going to be a dearth, I think, of major releases. And I think we already kind of see that because Microsoft canceling and delaying, just kind of like shrinking into a kernel of a corn cob,
yeah, and
like
I mean,
Microsoft, or maybe more imploding, better word. But like even Sony, which is weird because I don't think after Marathon got delayed, I don't know what Sony released this year besides Ghost of Yotei. I feel like there's some big release from Sony earlier in the year that I'm just forgetting about, that I don't.
I mean, Death Stranding.
I guess I almost Death Stranding's weird because I almost don't consider it Sony, since they don't own the studio, and Death Stranding did eventually go multi-platform, I think via 505 Games or something.
That's so right. Like, I always forget that it did eventually go multi.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, yeah, Sony did technically publish Death Stranding too, but I'm like, is it going to follow the same pattern as the first game, where eventually the rights are going to go to, or are with Kojima Productions, and after a clause, it's going to go third party, just like last time? I don't know. But yeah, like just looking forward, I'm like Saros looks cool and Wolverine looks cool too. But like Sony's in a and again, we keep saying this, they're in a really weird spot, weird pickle, because they had 12 at one point, 12 major games planned, and most, if not all of them, got canceled.
Well,
And they're
the
all these
industry,
multiplayer live service games that just got basically shut down.
yeah, the
Um,
industry in general is in a weird spot because it seems like it's become the, like, I don't know, pinata for AI development. Like,
yeah, and we're
they're the ones
hearing
that money is getting stolen from to go towards AI.
there was a major departure from Halo Studios, as it's called now, and there's word coming out that like Microsoft was basically mandating AI be used in every facet of development for Halo 1 remake.
Everyone's scrambling to try and figure out a way to make it profitable.
Yeah.
This is
I
a,
mean,
I'm not even saying like, okay, you're an AI tech bro and you love it, okay, but like the thing is that no one can find a use case where it is profitable without massive investment subsidizing the cost. And everyone is open about that. Everyone is saying like, yeah, we're not really sure how this is going to be profitable. We don't know how this is actually going to make money. Everybody's saying that.
yeah.
No one, it's not a secret. So it's like, yeah, they're probably pushing to use AI and everything. But that's another thing where we've said this before. They aren't saying that for the benefit of the customer. They don't care about me and you, the consumer. They're
Mhm.
saying that for the investors because the investors are all hyped up about AI. And so, like, yeah, they're using AI in their games. AI is being used everywhere. AI is the future. I'm going to put more money into AI, and Microsoft stock is going to climb because they're using AI and
Yeah.
they're not going to have to employ people. Or Amazon just announced that they're going to try and replace 600,000 jobs with robots driven by AI. Okay, well that's 600,000 people who aren't going to buy your shit anymore. They're not going to be able to. They don't have the jobs. It's like, what is Microsoft's game plan? I don't know, in 5 years when they've laid off all these people because AI can totally do all these jobs.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
AI is a weird thing because like, okay, say it does do all you want it to do. Now you've got a massive reduction of workforce and also a massive reduction of people buying your stuff, and then AI doesn't succeed, doesn't, and then your company implodes and it's out a bunch of money and investors are pissed and you lay off people anyways. Like there's almost no winning here. Like,
Yeah, I think the strange thing about I mean, Sony, as far as I know, is probably the most insulated from AI initiatives. Like, I don't think they're pursuing nearly as many AI initiatives as
oh,
Microsoft
Nintendo
is.
straight up said they don't. They straight have Nintendo, to their credit, has said like we don't do AI because we don't see the point of it. Like,
There you go. That's all you need right there. That's correct. Um, but like Microsoft is they're betting super big on AI in every single sector of their business, every single section of their
yeah,
business, as far as I know.
which
And
to
so
me
what are
seems
they
like,
gonna do if it doesn't pan
yeah,
out?
like why are you putting all your eggs in one basket? That seems dangerous.
Especially in your extremely profitable gaming sector. Because gaming, this is I'm sure we've said it before many times, but in case this is your first time listening, gaming is insanely profitable. There is a lot of money in gaming, like in video games,
Yeah,
period. That's the reason that all these companies jumped into video games in the last 15 years because there's just like loads of money in it. It has never not been profitable and insanely profitable in the last 20 years. It's why it rings so hollow when like everybody's like, yeah, we've got to jump to $80 because we're not making enough money. And it's like look at their profits. Their profits have gone through the roof.
yeah,
I don't anyway, the point is like I don't know what their plan is after AI kills
yeah.
a
Well,
bunch of
even
jobs,
if there
but
even if there wasn't an AI, gold rush, and I think a gold rush is a very appropriate term for AI considering how most gold rushes went. Um,
yeah, well, given that the debate is it's not even that the debate is not even whether or not there's a bubble anymore. Now it's whether the bubble will matter.
right. Well,
You
it's
know,
going to
oh, the
burst.
dot-com bubble didn't kill the internet. Okay, still killed a lot of companies. Like, You know, the housing market didn't disappear after the housing bubble, but it was bad.
Yeah, like you know, minimizing or just saying like what, like there being a housing market existing after 2008 doesn't necessarily, yeah, it doesn't mean like there wasn't a problem. It's going to be a problem. But but I'm saying here too is I think there was going to be a problem coming before AI, because right before AI seemed to take over the conversation, they, last couple of years we've been doing massive layoffs because they did way too much hiring during the
Well,
during COVID
they
years.
bought so many teams.
Yeah, so laying off is the amount of people they've been laying off and going crazy with it. I think was going to cause a problem, and I think we're going to see that problem really start to manifest next year and then into 27, 28. Because frankly, who is making these games? Who's going to be making the big products? Anymore? Like Yote just came out, but like I'm also kind of just assuming and waiting. Okay, by the end of the year, Sucker Punch is going to have staff reductions and layoffs because their major project is finished. And it's going to be quite some time before they get to their next one. So maybe they're, I mean, maybe they're trying to hold out for well, at least keep them on through the holidays. Have them work on DLC. We'll do some stuff there, and then we'll lay them off. Early next year. So it really minimizes how bad it makes us look. They already look kind of, they already, other things notwithstanding. But yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for that point. Again, Insomniac laid off people after Spider-Man 2. Like there's no
Well, yeah,
there's no
that's the
winning here.
normal. That's the normal thing in the industry.
But this is, I mean, I crunched numbers, and I didn't tweet about this, but like, yeah, I did some napkin math, and like the average salary in Japan is for a game developer is $35,000 a year, right? And I literally multiplied that by 2.5 years, and I got to just over $13 million. So that's exactly what they spent on Pokemon Za. Was literally the average salary of a person times 200 people there that work for the company, which granted not all of them are going to be the same place, same position, same salary, but
And yeah, some of
napkin
them are senior and they're gonna make a little
napkin
more.
math.
Yeah.
And it was like just over $13 million. I'm like, they're paying literally the base amount, the base average amount, for 2.5 years of development time, and that's what it cost, right? Spider-Man 2, it took 5 years, and there's over 500 people that work at Insomniac. Granted, I doubt all of them worked on Spider-Man, but I just napkin mathed it. 500 employees. What is the average salary for someone in Burbank, California? And I was like, it's about $100,000. It's probably less. It's probably closer to like 60 to 80.
Yeah, it's probably more like 60, but
I was like, $100,000 at 500 people for 5 years. It's $250 million. And the game cost 300. So
yeah, and I mean, reading more about that $100 million check they had to write to Disney to do it.
yeah.
Why would anybody why make a Spider-Man game?
Because Spider-Man, there is numbers like Spider-Man and Superman are like the most recognized characters in the world. Like there is potential global appeal there, but like here's the other but here's the other part of it is that do you know how many copies of the new Pokemon game they had to sell to make profit?
No, but I'm imagining quite low.
200,000.
Nice.
So all Pokemon has to do is sell 200,000 copies of a game, and then every copy after that is pure profit, technically. And they sell 25 million. So they have to sell 1%. They have to sell 1% or 2%, of their 1 or 2% of the game total game sold, like, paid back the budget, and then the rest was just now Spider-Man's a whole different story. It's got to sell like 5 to 6 million to make a profit or whatever, or 8 million, I forget what it was, but
well,
so you start to say like, well, why are we overpaying? And I don't know. I don't necessarily know that we're overpaying our developers here. Again, this was all very napkin mathy, and this is again, I guess to sort of bring it around. This is why all these tech bro assholes are jumping onto AI. Let's cut the staff down. Let's use AI to replace them. we can actually, we can spend less making these games because AI is going to solve all our problems for us. And that's their drive.
Why do they pay less in Tokyo than they do in Burbank? Well, it costs less to be alive in Tokyo than it does to be alive in Burbank. You can't not have a car in Burbank.
Yeah.
Like if you live
There's buses
in
there, but you ain't getting really around unless you live above or live down the street of where you work, which would be exceedingly expensive in Burbank.
yeah, if
Um,
you live in like the very specific, I don't know, 5 square miles of Los Angeles where you can use the subway for all of your travel. Although the bus system actually is pretty good, comprehensive in terms of getting places. Um, you know, I guess you don't need a car. I've met a few people who live in LA and they don't have a car. Uh, but if you need to leave that area at all, which that's something we can talk about. Another thing about LA, most people don't leave their neighborhoods. A lot of people that lived in Koreatown stayed in Koreatown unless they were going
yeah.
to work. You
Well,
live in Santa Monica, you don't go anywhere outside of
it's a
Santa
pain to
Monica.
get out of there.
Yeah, it's everybody. That's the other thing is like when somebody says they're from LA and they're actually from the valley, it's different because they go into LA and they leave the valley, and people from the valley go all over the place. But people from LA never go into the valley.
Mhm. Yeah,
They just don't.
exactly.
They
Yeah, they
don't
don't.
leave. They
They
don't go
don't.
over the mountain.
Yeah. You're on one
uh,
side or the other. I would hear about. I remember hearing on the radio how people were like, I couldn't believe how close Santa Clarita was, because of the show 24 or Santa
right.
Clarita Diet. And then
Yeah.
they went to an event for like the radio station. They were like, we went to Santa Clarita. I didn't realize it was just right over there. It's just right over the mountain. And it's like, well, yeah, like as the crow flies, like
And it's a
most of
huge
these.
production town too.
Yeah, like as the crow flies, these towns within LA are not far from each other on a raw. If you were drawing a straight line in a square mile, they're actually not. They're actually pretty close, but also take forever to get to because of traffic sometimes. So,
Millions of people
but
between you
also
and them.
yes, like if there's any, like if you live in an area, you just generally a lot of people like don't want to leave that area because of how much traffic and pain in the butt it is to get around. So they just don't even realize someone 8 to 10 literal miles from them. I didn't know that was going on. I don't live in that part of town.
I lived 8 miles from where I worked, and it would be a 45-minute drive on a good day, usually an hour drive. Like in the morning, I'd go to the gym, so it'd be a 15-minute drive, if even, to get across the town when it's like 5:30, even up to 6 a.m. But if like 6:30 comes around, it's a 45-minute drive minimum for that 8 miles.
Yep.
That's coming home, it would be an hour drive because it's at 5 o'clock and everybody's nah.
Though, I do want to say, to be fair, though, to be fair, at least to America, if you do the raw conversion, like you take all that aside, strictly speaking, people in Japan are actually paid less than
Yeah,
they are in America, and not just because of factors of yen currency of, oh well, you don't need a car, you don't need, your living expenses are less, blah blah blah. You take all of that away, you're still getting paid less in Japan. Japan just doesn't pay people. And again, this actually, to shit on Japan a little bit, this goes back decades to a sort of root problem where they didn't want to credit people ever on video games. They didn't want people to become known for anything. You work for the company, you work for the brand becomes the homogenous blob that creates product,
mhm.
and you don't exist. Like you are truly cog and machine. However, in America, because individualism is so much more highly valued here, um, and at the time,
You
for a
market
time,
things on people's
you know,
names.
yeah, and for a time in America, especially with the founders of like id and stuff like that, um, they knew their value. Like, hey, I made a hit game. Say I made Doom, Wolfenstein, Mortal Kombat, whatever. It's like at the time, especially with id, it's like, hey, we made this game. We're taking the money for it. I'm a valuable programmer. This game made millions of dollars, and so there was a time where all the people at like id and even I want to say Iguana and like other places like around Texas, they were all driving like sports cars, and like really high dollar, $100,000+ cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone. it would be a small development, but they all made money because they kind of ran themselves. What truly started to, because so there's a thing in America where it's like, look, if you're a programmer and you're a designer or whatever, and you're making a game that's going to sell X amount of millions of copies, you're not going to settle for $40,000 or $30,000 a year. You know your worth, and no one's going to accept this.
Well, it's a massively different culture.
And there was this whole perception. I'm like, if you can program, you must be really smart. You know maths and stuff. So there was like this sort of idea that like, oh, well, this isn't a job that is easily replaceable. You know, especially in the 90s when it was sort of like people were like the dawn of 3D and stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
So
even publishers in the 90s weren't really sure how games were made.
exactly. But the thing is, what happened by the end of the 90s going into the 2000s is all the business people came in and sort of basically took over the publishing side of it. And now we're in this sort of quagmire now where you are, where the people making the games, they know their worth, they know their value, and they're not going to settle for nothing. But you also have these publishers who are out. We are out to squeeze every last dime out of, out of our company. Line must go up, because there was a time when most of these game publishers, they weren't on the stock market. They weren't really necessarily driven by it. And plus, Wall Street was just different in the 90s than it is now. Because now we also live in this hell
10 years ago.
Yeah, well, we live in this hellhole now where it's everyone's all like, buy the dip.
Yeah,
crash a product, buy it. Like, and now it's. Well, I mean, it's a whole nother bag of a whole nother bag of potato chips or whatever. But yeah, it's there. I do want to say, because it is true, on average, living expenses accounted for, whatever, we do pay high end, right? Like if you're Insomniac, if you're Infinity Ward, or if you're Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, you're going to get paid more for your work. In Japan, you could be a star programmer, and nobody at Game Freak's a star programmer. But you could be a star programmer at in Japan, and you're going to get paid the same thing as everybody else. At at the bottom, in Japan is you get promoted out of game development. You become a producer. They promote you into the business side of things, which is maybe where the big difference comes from. Because if your game is successful in Japan and you have a series of successes, you eventually get promoted into the business management side. In America, no. The programmer doesn't usually doesn't go promote him into the business side unless they own and run the company themselves. It's usually someone comes in who, I have degree, or I schmooze my way into this marketing, PR, whatever, and I have no idea how games are made. But you know what I can do? I can sell. I can
yeah, the U.S. stockholders. The U.S. You can't really compare the U.S. to Japan fairly, but I don't know. One of the things about Japan having a mega city like Tokyo and having it well connected by transit and other things is like you can get by. One, the apartments there are so small that like you can't own a ton of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
They don't have the same consumerist society that the U.S. has necessarily.
Yes and
although
no.
that is changing.
That is changing. There was I don't know if you saw that weird report recently about kidults in Japan.
The US? Oh.
No, Japan, where like the toy manufacturing market is kind of like, oh yeah, like the vast majority of people buying toys are adults now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
a weird aside. Have you noticed that Disney adults have multiplied and also it has become more extreme?
Yes and no. The one thing though that we got Disney adults, I have to give them credit for, was that when they feel wronged, they will let Disney know, and they will hurt Disney. It's kind of a thing where it's like the bronies, God help me, where when that first started to take off, they were like, oh, I love this show. We got to make sure the show keeps going. So you know what they did? They ran out and they bought all the whatever merchandise existed for the show, just so they could keep the show going. And I'm like, God, that's gross, but I don't understand it. But you know what? It was actually kind of smart, because like there was that Thundercats anime reboot that was apparently amazing, and I remember the voice director, she even talked about it to me and talked about it to other people on podcasts and stuff, and it got canceled because the toys were crap and nobody was buying the toys. Like the adults were like, these toys are really poor quality, I'm not buying this shit. And so the show gets canceled, even though it's the show is very well received. So again, this is like 15 years ago now, but like the bronies were like, okay, we love this show, how do we make sure this show keeps going? Not watching it, no, we got to buy the merchandise. So Disney adults were like, oh, I don't like, not to try to get political here, but like we know for a fact that it's like, oh, Disney canceled Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, guess what? Guess what's getting canceled? That Plus subscription is going away en masse, and Disney fucking panicked. So it was kind of like, they're actually kind of.
I'm not trying to yuck.
There's a lot of them that are actually kind of smart about, like, they're crazy, but they're also smart about, okay, we're gonna, if we want to get their attention, if we want to get them to know we like something, we buy it or we don't buy it or we cancel it or whatever, like crazy. But there's a part of me that sort of admires the wow, you guys are like, you really are like, they stand tall on their principles.
Yeah, but like, okay, what I mean is like their entire personality, like their main hobby is Disneyland, going to Disneyland, consuming Disneyland products, collecting Disney, like
the popcorn buckets and the sippers, man. I've got plenty. Look at my background. Well, they're not in the background, but like,
but like that, but that wasn't a hobby before. You liked Disney, but you didn't say like your hobby was just generally Disney. Gaming is a hobby. You do something, and there is an entertainment, but also a stimulation value to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Woodworking is a hobby. Like you do the thing. Consuming the thing being the only hobby, is that not? That's a new thing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, but you've got the thing, but that's not your hobby. You didn't go just to get that thing, did you?
No.
Right.
No, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. You can have like a permanent. This is a magic band for those who can't see, who are just listening to. I'm holding up a magic band, which I know it's kind of funny. Like we should be having this raging argument. I'm just like having a good time listening to it because I think you're right on one hand, but so I'm holding up a magic band. It's this electronic NFC. It's an amiibo with a wrist band around it. And what it does is it basically, it's like, I can just, anytime I go to any Disney park, actually, well, except the Tokyo ones, I can just put my ticket on this thing on my wrist. And so when I go in and out of the park, like for park hopping, I can, or just return later in the day or whatever, I just have to beep this in. And it does other things too, but like, it's just sort of like,
that's cool.
It's kind of neat. I like it. Was it expensive? Yeah, but there's things you can interact in the parks with it and stuff like that. So it's fun. I enjoy it.
I'm going to the park. I understand. Getting something while you're at the park. I'm saying like we all know at least one person where like that's like their whole deal.
Yeah,
they've been to every Disneyland in the world. They have specific special merchandise from every day. Like Disneyland is their hobby.
Bro, on the video, there's this thing my finger's pointing at. That's a popcorn bucket, and it's a stained glass window, and it lights up, and it's the coolest goddamn thing ever. And it's only sold. It was only sold in Tokyo.
Right, but that's not your hobby. Is my point. Like for some people, it is cool. Like that's like their entire hobby, and I don't understand when your hobby is purely like consuming a particular product.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, it collecting? I kind of get in a way where it's like, oh, I like having a collection of this stuff or whatever. I was like, yeah, everyone's got. My grandma had a collection of precious moments. Yeah, a large collection of precious moments.
Again, I understand, but you're specific to a company and their products.
Yeah, that's the kind of weird thing, right? Like I have to kind of agree with you here, where it's like
I have an aunt who collects Coca-Cola stuff, and I think it's weird as hell, but it's not her whole personality.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Well, okay, because to get in a way into an aside here, there is a little bit of a weirdness where Disneyland in particular is kind of weird to me because they own Star Wars and they own Marvel, right? And they'll have Star Wars and Marvel stuff come out. And I'm kind of like, Nobody actually likes Star Wars Marvel stuff anymore. Everyone just sort of tolerates it now. Nobody, I mean, there are, yes,
They drove
there's
that stuff into the ground. I mean,
right.
the
Yeah, that's the
fastest
thing.
turnaround on killing something I've ever seen.
Right. Which is, it's funny to me too, because like people are like, oh, we're gonna go check out this new whatever bit of like we gotta rush off to Disneyland to get this new Marvel thing that they put in Avengers Campus. And I'm like, why? I'm like, it's also weird. I'm not trying to throw shade at them because I think a lot of them are very, very nice, people. But like, there's vloggers, right? And they cover specifically a specific theme park. Usually, it's like Disneyland or Disney World, right? And you'll see this video pop up like once a year or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, I'm at Universal. I haven't been here in 13 years," and I'm like, "Like, wait, your whole big channel is based on theme parks, but you only go to one?" Like, yeah, I just really focus on the Disney stuff, and I'm like, what? Like it just that's the part where it just kind of gets me, where I'm just kind of like, there are, I mean,
Well, it's like, okay,
it's like,
something
okay, I get
similar.
Universal's not as big, but I mean, what?
If you met a person who gaming is their hobby, but they only buy and play specifically first party Sony products.
Yeah, I mean, there's people out there like that.
But that's it. And it's like their whole personality. They wear Sony t-shirts, they talk about Sony,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they
I
only
mean,
play Sony games, and
console
they
war fanboys, man.
yeah, but like they play third party games on those consoles. They'll like I've never met a person who's like purely a Microsoft
To
fanboy
be
who's
fair,
like,
there are definitely a lot of people who are like Nintendo only. Like
but
buy
they'll play third
Nintendo
party games on Nintendo.
barely, man. I feel like if any one of them, I think that
Nintendo's the one that can get away with it because they make so many games.
it's true, but
You
they
could
also are.
accidentally only play
Yeah,
Nintendo.
it's kind of true. Yeah, but again, it is kind of the Disney of video gaming. So
That's true. I would say that that's because people have a nostalgic connection to it
yes,
from childhood too.
oh yeah,
Disney or
definitely.
Nintendo got in there when you were young and you became obsessed. Well, maybe that's why Disney. I just a guy that I knew a while ago. He married a Disney adult, and their whole life became like, I'm not super close friends with them, so I don't know how enthusiastic he really is about this, but like it was like overnight he was like a basketball player in college and like never talked about overnight, just like boom, he's got like a Stitch shirt on. He's a 40-year-old. Like what do you're walking around in like pajamas, like Disney pajamas for work.
For work.
Yeah, like you're wearing that to your job. What are you doing? Like, come on. What are we wait, and then your wedding is all Disney themed and your home is entirely Disney themed and you're just like, what is is she that entrancing or
Here's an
did you
intro.
fall in
Okay,
love?
let me put it in. I saw this on a video recently, and I really want to do more research into it. Um, and there's a really fascinating thing that happened. It relates to kind of what this we are talking about with your friend. So we all know the Japanese businessman mindset and how kind of like terrible it is,
Yeah.
and apparently, like there's. I mean, I don't. I'm not gonna go there, but so in the '80s, going into the '90s, they I watched basically a documentary on how Tokyo Disneyland got built. It's not run by Disney. It's actually run by a different company who licensed it out, buys a license from Disney.
Which explains why it's so good.
It is. It's so weird. It's so weird how it's like, oh, this company has nothing else going for it other than it's Disney theme parks that they pay the license for, and it's way cheaper. And it's here's the crazy thing I learned from this documentary. One, it's the most profitable Disney park in the world. It's also the cheapest. Like convert like pound for pound, pound for pound, yen for yen, dollar for dollar. It's the cheapest. It's the most profitable, and the split with Disney isn't even that high. It's 5% of ticket sales and like 10% of merchandise, or the other way around, one or the other.
Yeah, they negotiated it probably before everyone at Disney lost their damn minds.
Here's a fascinating thing about it I
Bob.
learned. Here's a fascinating thing I learned. It actually was a contributing factor in the thawing ice of the Japanese businessman mindset or fatherhood. So what happened is that there like the men would take their day off or take their weekend and go to Disneyland or whatever. And it actually made a lot of Japanese businessmen change their entire minds about work-life balance.
Like
because like they were at this theme park and they were like the experience they were having was like seeing their family and their kids and going to a place like this and you the Disney magic if you whatever.
okay,
And they
well, I'll just
realized that
go
like
F myself, I guess. That's sweet as
it
hell.
blew my mind. I want to research more into this because like apparently it was a huge contributing factor into changing the attitudes of the work life family balance in Japan society. Because now I know you haven't been, and I know probably a lot of people listening to this podcast haven't been, but Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea are the best fucking theme parks in the world. And every Disney vlogger will tell you that, like they're a significant step above, everything we got. So maybe that has a small contributing factor in it, where it's like, no, we're gonna make a fucking theme park. Like,
I mean,
I
I'm
am
just
transporting your ass, like hell or high water. But it's so good when the vision is so clear and so concise and so well run. It's weird that it had a societal effect on making dads go, oh shit. And it almost broke my heart because Itagaki just passed away, Team Ninja former leader, Ninja Gaiden DOA creator.
yeah, I saw that. That's crazy.
One of the
He
photos that
wasn't
came
that
out,
old.
58, dude. Apparently he had a crazy illness and it deteriorated rapidly. Anyways, one of the articles showed him in like a picture of him and his daughter at Tokyo Disney Sea, and it almost broke me. I was like, oh man. In an obituary, and I'm like, it reminded me too of that whole thing where it's like, one thing you kind of got to understand is like if you and maybe you could call this the Nintendo difference, but like it's weird to think that this place, and this is this is why I kind of me and Nadia started doing like some videos about Disneyland and stuff, is like there is something to be said about going somewhere like this and what they're offering and what they're what you get out of it, especially with the right mindset. And it's like it kind of makes you reevaluate kind of like what's important. It did for Japan, for a lot of Japanese businessmen, where it's like,
Well,
shit, I want to have good days with my family. I want to go have like great fucking, I want to go have great time with them somewhere. And it's like,
I don't
oh
think
shit.
our Disney is doing that because our Disney costs like a mortgage to go to now. But it's I don't want to go into more debt to go to.
Hey,
But okay,
you know what? Because people were whining because they just raised their price. They do it every year. They raise their prices every year. They actually didn't raise their prices on their cheapest day, and they didn't raise their prices on their two bottom tier season pass. They're still expensive. Don't get me wrong, but it was like they only raised the prices on the craziest days, on the holidays. And I'm like, this is like a clear shot, and like saying like, please stop coming here on Christmas
wait,
Day.
just for curiosity, what is a ticket to Disneyland right now?
Cheapest or most expensive?
What is a ticket to get in the door to go to Disneyland?
What day? They're priced differently on different days.
I have a Saturday. I'm going on a Saturday. I have a Saturday off. I want to go to
Disneyland. You're never going to get what's called a tier 0 Saturday.
The fact that there's tiers is
this happened right.
America.
I think right before COVID or whatever. Like Florida started it,
and the US rather,
and then California eventually adopted it. But I'll tell you this: the cheapest day to go is $104 per person. The most expensive day is $224. That's the range you get. Usually, it's somewhere around 130, 150. It is 65 on a weekday, 75 on a weekend for Tokyo. so bear that in mind.
A season pass, a year-long season pass at Magic Mountain when I was a kid was $40.
Mm-hmm.
No, I guess it was like $50 for the year.
It's actually not.
It was 35 to get into the park.
I haven't had a season pass there in a little while, but I had like a tier 3 or like a gold plus or whatever the fuck they were called at the point, and that was $100 a year, and that got you free parking and discounts. And that was like the 1, 2, 3, and there was like a 4 diamond, whatever.
Yeah, there was a tier that also got you free food.
Yeah, like this one doesn't have that. Yeah,
one meal in there and stuff.
But it actually hadn't gone up much. But it's also Magic Mountain, and that place is.
If I was going to go to one theme park this year,
Mm-hmm.
What's the theme park to go to? Not Tokyo. I have to be able to get to it.
In
Like
America?
In the United States, yeah.
In America.
Let's say in Orlando because that's so close to me now.
Islands of Adventure or Epcot.
Islands of Adventure or Epcot. Okay.
Yeah.
What did that cost the last time you went?
Oh fuck, I don't know, because I always bought like multi-day hoppers for it.
So insane.
It's gonna be like
that
it's gonna be like 100. It's probably gonna be like 175 or something for like multi-day. If you want like a 2-day or 3-day. The thing is, when you buy a park hopper in Orlando, that's 4 parks.
it's dick sucking money. Yeah.
I actually don't know. Hold on, Andrew. Let's look this up. Actually, this might be kind of interesting.
For those of you that skipped ahead, like maybe you thought we were getting too downer on that other conversation. You've jumped into some weirdness now, but I don't care. I'm going down this rabbit hole. This is the last part of the podcast. It's going to be me finding out which theme park is worth all of us going to together. If you're in the United States, well, look, if you're in Australia, you found out that it is probably cheaper for you to fly to friggin' Tokyo and go there to the best Disneyland in the world than it is for me to go to Disneyland in Florida. Some horse shit.
I mean, if you're looking for a 1-day ticket, let's get out of the holidays, right? Yeah, dude, like cheapest you're looking at here is like, oh man, it is nasty next year. Oh my God, what is happening in Florida? Why does it go up next? It's cheaper to go now than next year. I don't get it, dude. Yeah, dude, you're looking like 160, 155
for one person
like
for one day.
Yeah,
on a weekday.
On a weekday, like cheapest day I can find in Florida.
What if I go during a hurricane?
They don't care. I've done it. It's the best time to go, honestly, because nobody's there. Like everyone's like fleeing. No, yeah, like the cheapest thing in Florida for them, from what I can find, Andrew, for World Disney World, is the more you play, the less you pay per day. Because you're talking about 1 day, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking like 1 day. I don't
know. They charge you less if you do multiple days. Like per day is less. You know what I mean? But if it's like, no, I only have 1 day, 1 day only, then they're going to charge you more for it. But they don't do that in California. Like I said,
what about Universal? Is Universal still the cheaper option
in Florida?
Anywhere, and because like I used to go to Halloween Horror Nights, and that was more expensive than normal. But
the problem with Universal now is Universal will have cheap days, but like Universal is charging as much as in California is charging as much as Disneyland now that they have Harry Potter and Mario. And I'm like, you don't have the space for that. The one advantage you can have for Universal is if you go on a weekday off season, it will be dead. It will be very, very, very dead. You will walk onto everything without trouble. You'll be done with that park in 4 hours.
And Harry Potter Land is fairly cool. But I mean, the best thing about Universal when I was a kid is the views from the Universal lot. Like you could see some of the best views of LA.
Oh yeah, especially when you're going down. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Florida's kind of getting hammered with that. Well, the other problem is I mean, again, Florida's having this problem because all their Canadian guests are not going there going there anymore.
Do they have like a huge amount of Canadian travelers?
Yeah, a bunch of Canadian snowbirds. We used to fly down to Florida like for spring break, summer break, winter break, and they're just Canada wants nothing to do with us right now. Can't imagine why.
I can't imagine why. The rhetoric has been so tame lately. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, it's about 140 for a 1 day for Universal Islands. But you're spending about 140, 150.
Boys, girls, I don't think I'm going to Disneyland anytime soon.
Nah, we'll get you on one of the cheap days someday.
When you guys all come to Orlando for something, you can let me know and I'll meet you out there. It'll be easier. I can drive to Orlando.
Well, the thing is they, again, like to be frank here, they really they really gouge you in Florida on single day. They're really trying to like, look, you're going to pay more, but you're going to pay a lot. You're just going to pay less to go longer, basically. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you go to a big Walmart, Target, or whatever, right? And there's like, here's a pack of 15 toilet paper rolls, and it's $15, right? Here's a pack of 30 for $18. You can double it if you just give us $3 more, right? So if you commit to like 3 days or whatever, then you'll pay like $80 or whatever for a day for each ticket, for each day or whatever.
I hate them.
Or Andrew, you know what the smart thing you can do is you go visit Japan, and while you're in Japan, you spend a day going over to Disneyland and you spend $65.
I don't think the thing is, I'm not sure that I would even get to Tokyo Disneyland because there's so many single small shop like creators, like paper shops, stationery shops, leatherworking shops. There's so many like shops that I would want to go to.
Oh my God, there's so much to see there, dude. There's so much. There really is.
I don't know if I would even have time to go to Tokyo Disney.
I mean, yeah, because I honestly couldn't blame you there otherwise. But like, it's definitely, in a way, it kind of like exemplifies a really good example of like, we're kind of screwing ourselves here, like the American business side in general. And again, this goes back to gaming here too, where Oriental Land Company, which runs Tokyo Disney, is more profitable, way more cheaper, and is way more highly regarded than anything we got. Although
it's run like a company that wants its customers to continue being customers.
Fucking bingo, right? Fucking bingo. Now I will stand, and everyone agrees with me. The best American theme park, singular park, and on its own, not as a package deal, not as a park hopper, is the original Disneyland. It is the most amount of rides per square footage. Like everything, there is so much shit packed into one area here at our original.
Yeah, but you have to deal with such crowds that you're going to go to like 4 rides.
Correct. Well, unless you're smart like me, I have a whole video on how to main that, how to me and Nadia basically figured that out. No, like most people can't get on the good stuff. You get there at opening, you have about an hour or 2 hours on a good day to get on every big ride because nobody's got their kid ready to go. At rope drop as it's called. But no, like there's this sort of, I guess you could just call it inshitification.
Yeah, well, that's true of everything lately.
Right. So I think there is a lesson. If there's any lesson to be learned, I don't know if they're going to learn the lesson, but like if there's any lesson or takeaway from Japan, number one is just sort of like, it's something that Hamaguchi, the director of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, said. It's like, because someone asked him about Expedition 33, and he's just like, yeah, I'm hearing what people are saying all about it. I'm just focused on making sure the next game is the most fun game for people to play. That was his response. They're like, what do you think about turn-based? Is turn-based back? He's like, maybe, but I'm just focused on making, 7 Part 3 the most fun game it can be.
Good answer.
Yeah, like
good answer.
But I mean, I honestly think that's something. And Square's had it tough, man. They're in a pickle because they had to get rid of a CEO who was dead set on NFTs, for so long until the board had to get rid of him.
Oh my God. When's the last time you heard of like anyone talking about NFTs?
Right. Exactly.
It's so nice that that's gone. We should release a coin. Shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's time.
Shouldn't we?
Now's the perfect time. We're gonna have
coin?
the dude coin or something.
We'll have a dude coin. We'll release it for like 1 cent per coin.
Wait. And again, I think the real good thing to take away here is what are big beloved games here? But Expedition 33, $50. Hades 2 was $20. Silk Song was $20. Absalom, I think, was 25. I don't remember what it was. What a great game. You would love it.
Absalom?
Absalom. Man, you would love that game, Andrew.
I just put like 50 or 60 hours into Vampire Survivors over the last, a game that I thought, I don't care about that. look at that game.
That's everyone's experience with Vampire Survivors, dude.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, I got a few minutes of it. 3 hours later,
Yeah.
Absalom.
Yeah, with a U, Absalom. So the one half of the Streets of Rage 4 devs, right?
Yeah.
If you play Streets of Rage 4,
Oh yeah.
Guard Crush, they made their own original IP. It's a Golden Axe beat 'em up, but it's
Yes.
roguelike.
Okay.
And it's got a lot of tiny little, like, and every single run does all this nugget of story. So they have this big giant story that they dish out in like little tiny teaspoons at a time every time you run through it.
I dig that. What's the art style like?
Like if Streets of Rage 4 people made Golden Axe. Like,
okay. Yeah.
It's
No, you're
very
right.
golden. It's
That's a
very
dumb question.
it's I don't yeah, it's a good question actually, but yeah, it's like if the sort of stylistic the style of Streets of Rage 4
Oh
was
yeah,
applied to Golden Axe.
I can do it. It's got a little bit of oh, that's almost started a trailer. Yeah, I can dig this. I like this art style a lot.
Yeah. And once you start getting into the meat and potatoes and like because it's actually got mechanics and depth to it too, with dodging and parrying in a beat 'em up. And all the different skills you could get, all you have a good run, a bad run, all those secret pathways you can find, through an area. Really, really good music by the Ori composer. So
Gotta have good music for a game like this.
Yeah, Gareth Cocker.
Do we think I can play it on my Odin 2 Mini?
I don't know if it's on mobile or not. I don't know if it's on Android or not, but it's on Steam. It's on Steam and Switch. I think there might be a PlayStation version. It's not on Xbox, so that we didn't have the manpower. The dev was like, didn't have enough manpower, not enough people play Xbox. So I'm like, well, there you go. And if Game Pass isn't their foot in the bill, like, well, yeah.
God, all of the streaming services are raising their prices, and they're slowly going to raise their prices. I mean, every type of streaming service because they can't turn a profit with their model. This Game Pass used to be the best deal in gaming, but it is so quickly shittifying.
Yeah.
In shittying?
And shitifying.
And shittifying.
Yep.
That it's like, next year's going to be weird. And the thing is we said that last year about this year, and that it proved true, but it was better than expected this year.
This actually turned out to be a really kind of solid year. And again, a lot of the solid games that came out this year, frankly, were indies.
Yeah.
Or were sort of upstarts. I wouldn't call Expedition 33 an indie game, but it certainly wasn't a massive AAA production either. And that's to say nothing again of Silksong and Hades, which are follow-ups, obviously, in this Absalom game. And then there's games like Peak and what have you, and Repo and some of the other, like, as they call them, friend slop, $5, $8 games. Mega Bonk, which is 3D Vampire Survivors. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's been I don't know. This ended up being a very good year for gaming, I feel like, strangely. But next year, I actually do think, especially from the sort of Western side of things, I'm kind of sitting there like, okay, well, you fired 30 some thousand people got laid off, mostly in the Western sector of game development. That we're really going to start seeing the effects of that next year, by at least starting next year, aren't we?
Probably over the next couple of years, right? Because there was like a 2-year lag on COVID.
Yeah, so I'm predicting there's going to be a multi-year lag on this, because if they're not hiring, which means if there's not mass hiring, which means there's not any big projects being developed. So
it's going to be interesting because I sort of am waiting to hear or see the first game that mostly relies on generative AI or something. They're going to push that somehow. And depending on how that does, I think is going to set the tone for what we have to deal with for the next few years.
Yeah, well, Gamers are reacting, from what I'm seeing, very hostilely towards any game that has even the slightest amount of AI in it. Good. So
Yeah,
far,
well, I
so
mean,
far,
I
so
think the
good.
worst thing that could happen is that something like that comes out and it's badass.
Hmm. Well, I think the big one right now. So Arc Raiders has generative AI voice clips,
Hmm.
and some people are definitely not happy about that. Although that game is apparently very polished, very well received, had a really great beta, just came out. It's very well liked. This the DMZ game, the new extraction
Yeah.
shooter. Supposedly, I've heard there's some generative AI voice acting in that game, much like what was that game, The Finals, or there was a Korean competitive shooter game. I think it was called The Finals or The
Hmm.
Finalists or something, and that had AI announcers, and people were not really thrilled about that. But that game, it never blew up the way Arc Raiders is kind of blowing up. So I want to say, like, right now, I think the first major, big, polished, well-regarded game that does have at least AI voicing stuff is probably Arc Raiders right now.
And the fact that it's blowing up is, when Marathon had the troubles that it had, people were all like, "Yeah, it's because people don't want extraction shooters anymore." And I was like, "I don't know if that's the case." And I was like, "Well, here's proof. It's not the case. People want extraction shooters that don't suck."
Yeah,
Like, it's sort of
it's
like
the
people
Marvel
being like,
movie.
"Battle Royale's dead." And it's like, it's not dead. It's tired. It's just like somebody needs to find a new way to implement Battle Royale. Granted, also
Implement
Fortnite's so popular. It's like, is it really dead?
Right. Well, it's not dead. It's just that people are too invested in their thing. You need to find a way to make a battle royale like instant, fast, free, and people don't feel like they have to commit any amount of time to either learning it or buying it. Like, you need your first year or two of any big competitive multiplayer anything should be easy to jump into. There should be very very few things to actually buy. Like I'm saying, make it feel like you don't have to commit nothing. You got to hook like
Oh,
you
like,
get
yeah,
you got
this
to
is
hook them in
just
like a drug dealer, where it's just kind of like give them the taste,
get
get
them
them
when they're
hooked,
12.
make
Wait,
them feel like this game. I mean, here's the terrible thing: is like this game's not predatory at all. Yeah, no, not predatory. You can just earn everything in the game. Like honestly, you know who's doing it really well? Marvel Rivals.
true.
They made an Overwatch clone in an era where no one thought an Overwatch clone was going to do well at all. I forget what was the other game that came out at the same time as Rivals, and Rivals just killed it immediately. What was the other Overwatch style game? I can't remember now.
It's dead
Um,
now.
it's dead now. What was it? I don't remember. Rivals killed it. And why did Rivals kill it? Well, every character was free. You didn't have to earn any character. You didn't have to buy any character. Every character looked good in their default costume. Everyone had a big ass. Um, and there
We
was
do love a big ass.
and there just wasn't a ton of stuff to buy, but what was there was it was kind of cool. So they got everyone fucking hooked into Marvel Rivals. Looks
Sure.
good. It's free to play. No, it doesn't feel like you're being nickel and dimed. It doesn't feel scammy at all. And then we'll slowly start putting more and more fucking like, all right, just keep putting a little more ass on the costumes that we just keep sprinkling in there. And suddenly it's like, you're like, okay, well, here's Mrs. Fantastic. She got a big ass too. Yeah, she does have a big ass. That's great. Here's also, guess what? Here's a heavy
Mr.
metal
Fantastic, and
no, but
he
here's
has a
he doesn't. His ass is nowhere near as good as hers. It's really upsetting. But it's like, okay, yeah, we gave you that and it's free. Here's a heavy metal inspired leotard where her ass is exposed. You want to pay money for that?
getting them with the horny.
Yeah, I gave you got Mrs. Fantastic. Didn't cost you a darn thing. Want a little more ass? Ooh. Ooh, only $20. Come on,
This is how
you've
OnlyFans
gotten
girls make all
come
their
on.
money too, I bet.
This isn't at launch either. This was months after launch. And it's like you've been playing the game for a while now, right? You haven't felt any need to buy anything. It's been months. You've put $20 worth of time into Marvel Rivals. You deserve a little ass, a little extra ass from your ass. And that's how they're winning. And it's like Adam Sandler meme, and this is how I win, from Uncut Gems. So,
You know what? Can't fault them on the practices.
but yeah, I think extraction shooter and the battle royale is the same deal, man. You just you can't throw it out there and have a bunch of shit and it's like, oh, like expect people to devote their life to it. Make it fast, easy, free, make it seem very consumer friendly. Then you
Put
start
some ass in
sprinkling.
it.
And then you start sprinkling the stuff, not at launch, after launch. Hook them first,
Well,
then make them
you
pay
gotta
later.
have some ass in it, and
Yeah,
then
you got to
reveal
have
more ass. Yeah,
you anglerfish. You got to have the little light bulb on there. Get them over there, get them playing, get them enjoying it, then start introducing the stuff you
gets me
want to pay
every
for.
time.
Yeah, it's like Helldivers 2 did something similar. They started having crossover
Actually,
costumes
that
and
is true.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, well, we got everyone in, and that was a pay to play game technically, but it was a cheap pay to play, cheap enough. So
Also,
yeah,
to end on a completely weird random note about Helldivers, did you see that speech given by that Marine like colonel or something like that, where he just gave the Helldivers speech?
no,
He literally just gave the Helldivers speech to like crazy applause, and he was clearly doing it as a joke for Marines who knew what was going on, but like people responded, like average Americans were like, "Hell yeah!" And it's
oh
like, well,
my
that's a he's giving a okay, well, all right.
god.
For the people who were in on the joke, it's great, and for the people who thought it was great that aren't in on the joke, it's maybe a little concerning.
It's a little concerning how Paul Verhoeven has basically he didn't make satire. He just predicted the future.
Oh man. On that note, we've got we've got producers to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/slash Yo Video Games Podcast. Dude of the week was Floyd M. Thank you, Floyd. And our producers for this episode are Dragon Wolf and Kodo, Osnight, Dongelmeister, Cyberknight, Tsunami, Croy35, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.